Howdy, howdy, howdy. Dave Duford here to Ford Insurance Group, where we train and recruit agents nationally to sell final expense, Medicare, annuities, and ACA. Doing some interesting content today, interviewing agents across America to help them with their questions or challenges. This is a series of content that I'll be doing for next couple of weeks, couple of months. And I'm here today with Mr. Chris. Chris, say hello.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Chris, thanks so much for being here. So we're going to just basically jump in. The idea of this content is to let the person that I'm speaking with kind of ask me questions to get insight, and I'll try my best to help out and provide some wisdom. So Chris, if you want to jump in, briefly introduce yourself and feel free to fire away any questions you got. I'll be happy to help you.
Yeah, thanks. So yeah, my name is Chris Robinson, and I actually attained my license in 2019, right before the pandemic. And I joined with a couple companies, and everybody wants to sign you on the dotted line, but then when you get on the dotted line, they don't really want to train you. They want to tell you how great the pie in the sky is, but they really don't want to give you any pieces of the pie. So that's frustration. I come from a pretty successful background, and I've never experienced such a lag, if you will, as far as the communication. It's like, okay, yeah, if you join us, we're gonna train you, we're gonna teach you, we're gonna give you the ins and outs, and everybody just kind of gives you this 40-second role play script, and then they tell you, okay, well, your leads, oh yeah, make sure you get enough leads, and then they're like, well, you probably should spend some money on the $4 leads, and I'm like, well, yeah, maybe you should probably teach me on how to handle,
Right.
just the 10-cent leads, and then I can spend money on the $4 leads with confidence.
Right.
So yeah, just overall frustration, David.
Well, how would you like me to help you? Do you have any questions? Any kind of thoughts you'd like me to ponder or pontificate on?
Yeah, I mean, just pretend like I'm your brother, okay?
Yeah.
Older or younger, it doesn't matter. And you've seen the ins and outs of this business. You've seen, why there's not a whole lot of integrity, and I'm sure you've gathered enough information to make your answers, and then also why there's such a horrible retention rate. I've never, it took me 30 days start to finish to take the class and to pass the test. Everybody's like, wow, you're gonna kick tail, but it's like, I'm not kicking tail.
Right.
I was making more money, in the service 20 years ago.
Yeah. So some thoughts here. So the biggest thing that pops up in my mind, Chris, the problem with the insurance business is it's predominantly based off of MLM culture. So multi-level marketing culture. In fact, many of the big name, at least on the life insurance side, although it permeates in other business models too. Many of the big names originated from another agency 10, 15 years ago, which the owner of that agent is still around, not as big as I used to be. He used to be like an RVP, top of the food chain at Amway. And so what they did, and even prior to that, the A.L. Williams Primerica time of mentality, A.L. Williams recruited tons and tons of people with this kind of just that MLM kind of feel. Everybody and their brother should sell insurance. The problem with that is this, and again, could it be done correctly? I'm sure. But the problem with this culture of MLM is that it's less about producing and it's more about recruiting. You're recruited to learn how to recruit other people, to then turn them around to recruit other people. And the mentality they have is, hey, most people are going to fail anyway. So just give them the marginal amount necessary to be successful, but focus on scaling through warm bodies being hired, and somewhere somebody's going to sell. And that process, it works for the top of the food chain because you've got all these people beneath, and some of them are just going to sell, but it doesn't work for the guy in the line, you, because when you get out there, the people that brought you in don't know how to train, or they don't have experience, and they're wrapped up in this whole lifestyle, money and, but without the kind of the steps necessary to take to advance in your life. Like, you got to pay your dues. You got to go out there and crush it. And then you've got to take care of your people too, but they don't have that mentality. A lot of these don't. And so the point being is, it's just an endemic part of this business, Chris. I've tried my best for the years to be the kind of opposite of that. And thankfully there's more agencies now that value training over recruiting. But well, your story is just unfortunately the norm. It's just this idea that you can bring anybody in and then not be responsible for what happens after the fact. And they'll just kind of figure it out, which a lot of good people with talent and capability understandably look at this business like it's a racket, that it's just a way to sell leads, and they just and there's agencies that do that sell crappy leads and they make good money off of them. So, I mean, when it comes to that, that's kind of what I would tell you there. Any thoughts on that before I kind of move to what I would suggest you to do otherwise?
No, it's just you solidified my belief in what I've been experiencing, because I've been putting in a whole lot of time and effort in watching videos and, role playing with, by myself and whatnot, and looking at different objections. But, when you get the people on the line, I mean, you got, 1.4 seconds
yeah,
to do it right. And half the time when I make the calls, even from some decent amount of dollars leads wise, these people have already, it's like they rode hard like a Harley already, man. They're, it's like, dude, that was like 6 months ago. Why are you calling now?
yeah,
Well, I'm calling because, that's the reason why I'm calling. I'm calling because I'm sure, you probably have time. Let's, talk about this.
yeah,
My services are free, the whole ball of wax.
yeah.
And they're like, hey, take my name off the list, take my number off the list,
Right.
please get off the planet.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's frustration.
Yeah. And the thing is, it doesn't have to be that way. It's that way because, and there's a big owner of an agency. I was watching this video the other day, and he was ranting and raving about direct mail and how direct mail, it's direct mail for life insurance, Medicare, mortgage protections, and final expense. Excellent way to get in front of prospects. It has gotten more expensive. And he was doing a whole, rant about, hey, direct mail is going away. It's a waste of time. You guys are fools because you're not into these digital leads. And what they don't know behind the scene is like these carriers, like they're pushing the digital leads because they make a profit off of it. And it is a way to get more leads. And I use that term loosely, leads in front of agents. But the problem is that the carriers, the agencies are incentivized to sell them to you because they make money, and they make a lot of money because they've already, think about it, they paid it once, and that's the only time they have to pay it. So now it's just cash over and over again. There's no cost to resell those leads. They're just incentivized in the wrong way. They're thinking
it should be illegal.
Yeah,
it should be illegal. Yeah, I mean, selling a lead over and over and over again, you should at least have some kind of disclosure, besides, well, it could be 6 to a year old. You should say, hey, this is exactly 2 years old. Nobody's ever done anything with it.
And I get the argument. Some agents don't, there are a lot of agents who don't do anything, some people, they'll buy leads, but they never actually go out there and make things happen. And so some of those, there will be opportunities in, but here's the thing, like if you talk to top producers, and that's always a good idea in any business, in the insurance business, talk to the people who are making waves, that are doing well. What you'll find is they're not using the junk leads. They're not scraping the bottom of the bowl for the stuff that's been called 4 or 5 times. That is commonly what is pushed up and center. What many of them are doing are some kind of fresh lead, an exclusive lead. It does cost a little bit more, but they're the first person in line. They're not calling the 4th, 5th down after the first couple of weeks, like a lot of these leads, and they're getting better results. And so that's, again, the problem is the attempt is to try to convince you that all leads are the same. It doesn't matter if it's 40 cents or $40. It's just an opportunity. But when you're dialing hundreds of calls and people are like, don't call me, your people have called me 6 times, they're all not the same. There is a complete difference, and it's imperative getting into this business that you take the lead side of the situation just as serious as you take training, support, the type of carriers that you use. You've got to get all of the odds in your favor. And unfortunately, the leads thing is kind of the most deceived way from these organizations and then agents find out before and then it's too late because they've spent their good money on bad leads.
Okay. Solution, Mr. Duford.
So you come from a successful background. You said, did you run a business in your prior career?
Well, yeah, we ran a couple businesses, and we also myself, I've been in reverse mortgages and
cool. Okay.
I just
Okay.
Just grit, grind it out.
So so for one fellow entrepreneur to another, you understand trusting your gut and your instincts, right? Like those probably have been right more often than not. And I've found I'm 37 and it took me a good while before I was like, yeah, I should just trust my instinct, just because it's there, it's real. That's kind of how I would ask you here is trust your gut. If this is the kind of situation you're in and you already set this appointment because you're disappointed, that's likely where you're at isn't meant for you, right?
Yeah.
And what you should do instead is kind of just go back to square one, figure out what product would be most appealing to you, and then start doing due diligence on the agencies. Because the thing you've got right now is you've got experience and wisdom on the kind of crap people pull. So now you can hold these recruiters accountable when they tell you about how great their thing is, and you start asking them questions and they don't give you straight answers. You know that in business, when people don't give you straight answers, there's liable more BS behind the scene that you haven't yet seen. So I think just a retooling from the beginning would be smart, and just getting back to the basics, because understand there are good opportunities out there for agencies that aren't going to treat you like another number or shuffle a bunch of crappy leads on you. But
what's your thoughts on final expense?
So final expense is what I did as an agent when I first started in 2011. The reason I did is because it's quick pay. It's a one call close. You get paid a couple of days after you put the policy into force. There's a ton of prospects. The population is aging, and there's a larger percentage every year for the next 10, 15 years of people who are going to be 65 and older. So there's more and more prospects. And in that particular segment of life, you're close to death. Life insurance isn't discretionary anymore. When you've had a spouse die or a loved one or family members die, you realize I got to be prepared because it's a big financial burden. And even with things like inflation on the rise and the kind of fear of recessions, you're dealing with a client that gets paid from Uncle Sam every single month. Even with inflation risks, again, the fact that you have a client that has to be prepared. There's no more putting the thing off like you did in your 30s or 40s. You're faced with reality. I think that helps the business be good in good times because of the just socioeconomic trend of retirees hitting every day for the next 10, 15 years. But also, if things go south financially, I started in the Great Recession. I lost my personal training business. And I didn't ever want to be in a business that I was out of control of, right? Like mortgages or something. I can't help that the market shifts there. It's too cyclical. Final expense isn't. That's just, there's an underlying upward trend and interest. So I'm a big advocate of it.
Do you have a company that you would recommend that I reach out to, or? Oh, well, yeah, let's do it.
I do recruit agents nationally to sell final expense. But I'm not a very good promoter. I don't shove it in people's face. I'm too interested instead of like helping people, and people will figure it out eventually. So yeah, I mean, if you wanted to talk more once we're done here, absolutely. Where do you live?
So currently, we are in Wisconsin.
Okay, perfect. Wisconsin's a great market.
Yeah.
Are you like in Milwaukee? Or are you out in the
Oshkosh?
Oshkosh. Okay. Yeah. It's a great market. I've had agents here and there for years up there, and it's just good people. And,
about an hour from Green Bay, south of Green Bay.
Okay. Perfect. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, final expense is great. We look at final expense nowadays kind of as a way to get into the business, just because it has a balance of everything. It's not too technically difficult. It's a good pay business model. But what we try to get agents into about 6 or 12 months in is the Medicare side of the business, because Medicare pays a residual income for life. And, passive income is a good thing, at all walks of life. So that kind of goes hand in glove with final expense, because you're dealing with older people with final expense. Older people have Medicare, right?
Sure.
So yeah, we can definitely talk more about that. And I don't mind setting an appointment with you after this is over and kind of continuing the conversation.
Sounds good.
What else you got from anything else, Chris?
No, I think just like I said, just a level of frustration, when you keep showing up and you keep training and you keep looking at the videos, and, when you get a couple, prospects on the line, you get this stuff, as far as on your screen, and you're trying to, place, the right answers in a short period of time. And it's like,
Right.
where do you even go? If I give this person some bad advice, it's like giving my grandfather, if he was still alive, some bad advice. I just couldn't live with myself.
No. Yeah. You're in an important role of one with a lot of responsibility. You got to help people with a very important thing, so you got to have that training and support, because that's what gives you the confidence, right? And when you're confident, then you perform well, and it all just kind of is circular, right? It just propels you.
Sure.
Up. So
it
doesn't have to be that way.
All this training. Yeah, exactly. And that's what I say, after all this training, I would expect a level of confidence, but because I'm not in front of any warm bodies, and when I do get a chance, I'm puking all over everything, because I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
Well, a couple of things I can tell you we do that'll help with that. We do 3 live trainings right now in the summer, but in the rest of the year, we do 5 days of live trainings twice a day. Right now we do 3 twice a day. So that's 6 total live trainings. On Mondays, we do a deep dive training, which is really good because we actually play a real life sales training call that you can listen into. And it's like the real thing. You hear the chihuahua barking in the background, all that stuff. And we critique it. And I get the audience engaged. I'm like, okay, so what's going on? What do you think of what you've heard? Is it good? What can be improved? So it allows you to kind of, engage and stimulate what you've learned, but also it gives you kind of a real life look at what this stuff sounds like, which was really good too. So I think you'll find all training isn't equal. You got to have the right kind of training. You got to have the role playing, the skill set development, but you also got to kind of hear what it's like too. And all that stuff, I think, is going to bolster your confidence so that you can feel good about selling. And you've had success earlier in life too. You just need the kind of right setup and arrangement. And I think once you get that, it's off to the races for you.
Good.
Anything else, Chris, before I wrap it up with you?
No, that's it. I appreciate your time. Thanks so much.
So Chris, I'm going to go ahead and stop this, and then I'll share with you my link, and we can talk early next week. Hold on one second.